Hi, I'm Lita Leapins.
And I'm Jim Gordon.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, Lita, we have wrapped up the summer, I think, officially here at Mahoney's Tavern in Falls Creek. Come check this great place out. Still great views no matter what time of the year. Lots to do on our show today.
So let's get right to Our City Tonight.
Well, one of the great things that we love doing on this show, Lita, I know you'll agree, is introducing our viewers across Canada to some great talent, be it acting, writing, singing, producing. Tell you who they are, what we think, how great they are. You should see their work, and that leads us to our next guest right here.
And we're loving that we can go globally, and we would love to introduce Marta Dusseldorp. She's an Australian stage, film and theater actress, probably one of the most busy actresses that we know, well, globally, really.
Yeah. Marta, you're coming to us. We've never had anybody on from Hobart, Tasmania, but thank you for joining us early morning where you are.
My absolute pleasure. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, boy, we can't hide the fact we're big fans. We've been watching your stuff for over a decade. We'll get into the specific shows that we watch that you do, but can you talk a bit about what streaming, and thanks to the folks at Acorn who've been helping us out with this, talk a bit about what streaming services have really done for your product, especially way off in isolated Australia?
Yeah, I think for us, and certainly with the support of Acorn TV, it has meant that my stories particularly have reached around the world, but especially America. I started a relationship with them way back, and I've been to Washington with them and in LA, and they're just, it is like joining a family, and I feel like their audiences are the same.
My first introduction to you as a character was in Janet King, and then, of course, which was the spin-off of Crownies, where you play just an absolutely amazing character. Tell us a little bit about, because it's a bit different than programming in North America, the very, very strong characters that you have played, in particular, well, Janet King.
Yeah, I think for us here, strong female leads, we understand that they encourage audience to watch, that women often have their hands on the remote, not necessarily the men of the house. It was an interesting journey because I came onto Crownies as a supporting role, and I found her to be really fascinating. She's a lesbian, very powerful, in love, family. She gets pregnant, they have twins. Oh, not to give too many spoilers away, that's Crownies. And I got a call one day saying, we're going to do a spin-off of your character. And I thought, whoa, because I'd never really had that type of role. I think I'd done Jack Irish with Guy Pearce, but I was his supporting female character. And I don't think A Place to Call Home had happened yet. So I felt a huge responsibility, but also I thought, oh, this is going to be an incredible challenge and something really exciting for me as an actor. And so we did 3 seasons of that. It just grew and grew and grew. The fan base grew, the story grew. And she was never compromised. She was never put in too much jeopardy that you thought, oh, they're going to kill her off. It was a really nuanced, exciting story, I thought. And I became the associate producer. So I was in the room from the very first day, building the character, advising where I felt like she should go. I was listened to, respected, and from that journey, I now have my own production company and have just developed my own character as a creator. So it has been one of those amazing learning spaces for me.
It's always great when people go from the acting and get behind the camera and kind of take charting course of their career. I think that really is empowering. I want to talk about Jack Irish in a second, but first you just touched on a new character you've created. Can you reveal that now, or is that something we could talk to you about later in the year? Because you will certainly always be welcome back on this show.
Well, we're very close. We're very close to having funding. We've got a distributor and we've sold overseas. So we're very, very close. So as soon as I can, I will jump on here and let you all know, because this is probably the most dearest story I think I've ever told. And coming from a place like Tasmania, I was so inspired living here that I'm excited to possibly bring you this space around the world while nobody can travel.
Wonderful. Well, your teleseries generally go many, many seasons. You're just you are a winner in all of those. Tell us a little bit about what it felt like ending the long, long decade of Jack Irish.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. It was deep COVID here, so being able to work was really special. And seeing Guy Pearce again and all the cast, I mainly work with him, but Yatsik Coman, who plays my guy in that the next series. I'm not quite sure where you're up to, but it was. I've finished 2 really long series, so for me, I was practiced at that, being able to manage my emotions on set and not let it overwhelm the story as I need to tell it. But you are aware when you do that farewell scene with the character you've played with the most, as in Jack Irish, Janet King, and A Place to Call Home, when you speak those words and you know that will be the last time that you ever get to play her, there is. Yeah, it does make you stop and reflect and feel quite emotional, but they are part of my nervous system now, all 3 of those women, and I've learnt a lot from them. I feel very grateful to have been able to spend as long as I have with them.
And our last question is, speaking of using your voice, your favorite charitable giving back. You described a little bit off camera to us. Can you tell our audience a little bit about your passion for UNHCR?
Yeah, for me, UNHCR is such a global influencer. It turns up at every crisis point. They are incredibly responsive and they save lives every day. So I'm a special representative for Australia for UNHCR. We're one of the biggest donors towards UNHCR, which makes me incredibly proud. And part of that is I try to go to camps, refugee camps and settlements, and bear witness to people's stories. So being a storyteller, I absorb their stories and their pain most of the time and bring it home to explain to people the influence and difference they are making to people's lives who have no home and no way of returning. So I went to Zatri, which is on the border of Syria and Jordan. I also went into Lebanon to the urban settlements there and to Uganda with my children, actually, which was a beautiful experience for them to see how people live outside of their own very lucky home. And I think it's about building compassion and understanding and encouraging people to give if they can. And certainly with the pandemic raging around the world, it's not necessarily a time you're able to think of other people, but it is a way to get away from your own discomfort and what you're going through sometimes. So it's very important to me.
Well said. Great taking the kids too, getting them on board early. That's great. Marta, thank you so much for joining us. We're a million miles apart in terms of time zones. I can't even begin to know what time it is there. I think it's early morning where you are, but we really appreciate you joining us. And we advise our viewers to just check out this, I think, and Lita agrees, one of the best actresses working on the planet. It's Marta Dusseldorp. You can see her in Janet King, Crownies, Jack Irish. We're a little behind here, so I don't want to ask you any questions, but that'll be our weekend binge, but you can see it all on Acorn. Marta, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great, great pleasure to have you on our show.
My absolute pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.
This New Zealand Spotlight is brought to you by our friends at New Zealand Trade and Enterprise.
Well, the country of New Zealand has a lot in common with Canada. We share a queen, we both have temperate rainforests, mountains, glaciers, and we all wear toques in the winter. But we also all really love nature. And in this New Zealand Spotlight, we are revisited with Antipodes. Now, This is a scientific green beauty company. They were founded in Wellington, New Zealand. Proven results combining science and nature. And they use the world's purest bioactive skin enhancing ingredients. Amazing product. We are now joined by CEO and founder of Antipodes, Elizabeth Barbalich, who I must say we had on our show last summer. And I know lots has happened, Elizabeth, since we last talked to you. So excited about this product line. You guys are rapidly growing in Canada for many, many good reasons. Welcome back to our city tonight.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
No.
And it has been a very busy 12 months.
Oh, that's so good to hear. We've been following a little bit of the progress there. So just to jump right back in, you have some great new products to share with us. Let's jump into those right away.
Oh, fantastic. So we have 3 products that have been launched in the last 12 months, and all focused on a 100% natural origin, bringing the best of New Zealand nature to the world, but also in formulations that are highly effective. So I think with Antipodes, that's something that is unique and that we are trailblazing in terms of our scientific efficacy and scientific testing. So all about putting clean ingredients on the skin that deliver some amazing results. So in the last year, very excited to bring to the market our Baptize H2O Hydrating Water Gel. This product features a fermented plant-based hyaluronic acid, which draws and holds moisture into the skin. So fantastic if you have dry and sensitive skin like I do, but also features the key New Zealand ingredients, one of them being our world famous Manuka honey. Manuka honey is amazing in skincare. It's highly antibacterial, so it helps clear the skin of any blemishes, but also a natural humectant, so keeps your skin super fresh through the whole day. So this one is fantastic for a climate such as Canada, which you have, your hot summers and your cold, dry winters. So really it's like dipping your skin in a glass of cold water. Also this year we launched our Culture Probiotic Night Recovery Water Cream. Very excited because this is a unique space in that we're using another fermented ingredient. It's all about good bacteria for healthier looking skin. So we've used a high-tech ingredient from skin cells, which is fermented and filtered to create a bacteria that helps to balance the bad bacteria on your skin. It's all about the microbiome. That's a trendy word out in the marketplace, but it's all about giving your skin a healthy skin barrier, keeping your skin super hydrated, and also clearing it from any pollutants or blemishes. So great if you've got blemished skin. Also features some unique New Zealand ingredients, the harakeke, which is the Rolls Royce of aloe vera gel. So this ingredient is very soothing, very hydrating on the skin, and grown sustainably in New Zealand. Plus, we have the Mamaku Black Fern, another unique New Zealand ingredient, which helps with cell regeneration and cell turnover. So that has been very well received. And then thirdly, we have just launched our Glow Ritual, which is our vitamin C serum. So like all the Antipodes products, 100% natural origin, certified vegan, and featuring a compound from Australia, which is called Kakadu Plum. It's highly sustainable. It's a very concentrated level of vitamin C. In fact, has up to 100 times the vitamin C of oranges. Great for sensitive skin and completely sustainably grown. So this product is great for protecting the skin, giving your skin an instant glow. You can use it if you're 15 or you're in your 50s like myself. It's fantastic for skin that's going through changes, hormonal changes, and really helps to balance, boost, and protect the skin.
Well, you're a great example of great skin, and I love the fact that Antipodes has always used the body's natural ability to heal itself combined with ingredients. So excited to try these new products, and excited that you guys are making such a mark in the Canadian market. We're all very eco-conscious, as you know. We share that with the New Zealanders. And I love that we all have cute nicknames too, the Kiwis and the Canucks. I think we've always been kind of sisterhood and brotherhood with both countries.
Yeah.
So we're going to say thank you so much, Elizabeth. Always a pleasure. We look forward to having you back on the show. But we're going to catch up with Jim later on in this show while he talks to the local market here on where you can find Antipodes and how that market and branding is going here in Canada. So thanks, Elizabeth. Super appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks again, and great to see you.
He is a writer, a global affairs analyst, a two-time TEDx speaker. His geopolitical commentary is a regular feature on CNN Opinion. He's worked the front lines of humanitarian emergency. He's become a familiar voice on BBC World Television, CNN International, Al Jazeera, Bloomberg Television. He writes for a number of publications. And if that wasn't enough, he has a new book out called Digital Pandemic, COVID-19, How Tech Went from Good to Bad. A friend of mine I've known for a long time, but we finally have him on camera with me. It's Michael Bosicu. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you. And by the way, it's How Tech Went from Bad to Good.
Ted, thank you. How Tech Went from Bad to Good. Yeah, that's kind of important to get the title of this.
You're not the first one.
No, that's okay. Listen, thanks for correcting. Lots to talk about. Let's first talk about your book. You do travel a lot, and even when the pandemic and COVID was at its height, well, you shouldn't say, there's still a lot going on. You were traveling a lot, but it was for work. Tell us a bit about you.
Although I got to say, Jim, during the pandemic, I hardly traveled at all. Yeah. You know what? It was fine with me because it enabled me to get a book done. Some people, I guess, learned yoga or how to bake.
You wrote a book.
I wrote a book.
Well, you write a lot anyway.
Yeah,
so,
I do.
Yeah.
And frankly speaking, I mean, this is a lot from my CNN op-eds, from my podcast, other interviews I've done. So a lot of the information was right there sitting in front of me. And plus, I was working on a book earlier called Digital Crack about smartphone and social media addiction. So that's partly in there too. And it was a great thing to do during the pandemic because of technology now. I had people in New Zealand do the editing, do the cover.
That's great.
A guy in Victoria did the editing as well. So it all came together very easily, as a matter of fact.
And you say, I want to get this quote right, that the entire point of the book is to highlight how information technology puts us directly beside the grieving mother, amid the chaos of an overwhelmed hospital system in a cramped apartment, peering over a lockdown city center, while also listening to the poetry of an excited scientist. This really is the first truly global event that we've all watched on our little screens, as you say.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, before, and it still does, tech gets a really bad rap, Facebook, Instagram, not only for invasions of privacy, sharing our data, but for stripping traditional media of a lot of the advertising dollars that they used to get.
Yeah.
On the good side, however, can you imagine going through lockdowns in this pandemic without technology? How would we connect with our loved ones? How would we order food or, do a lot, working from home tech was the big enabler. So a lot of people leaned into digital a lot more during the pandemic just to be able to survive, keep their livelihood, stuff like that.
Again, talking about the many things you do, we've talked about the book. You also have a very successful podcast. Tell our viewers a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's called Global Impact, and I now co-host it with Melissa Ritchie. She's a LA-based French-Italian actress, very charming and smart, and we interview people around the world on various topics, but basically our goal is to connect the dots. Why something happened in Syria, why should we pay attention to it, and how could it affect us? So we've interviewed journalists, tycoons, people from the entertainment industry, and we have a lot of fun with it, but the main reason really is to inform people of what's going on in the world from a kind of different perspective.
Which is one of the things I like about it because, especially in the States where news is so domestically focused, that there are things going on around the world, and COVID, I think, has accelerated that. We certainly see it in our country, in the States, the UK, other Western countries, but there's stuff going on right now that may get lost in the shuffle, even more so now, over the last 15, 16 months. It's nice that there are little little areas where people like you can come on and say, hey, there's something going on over there that you really need to pay attention to because it's important.
Yeah, and one of our guests right around this time is a Mexican journalist who had to flee Mexico because it's one of the most dangerous places in the world right now. Her life was threatened, and now she's in exile in the United States. I saw her on BBC Hard Talk, actually while flying in an airplane, and immediately got a hold of her, and she responded. So we have her on the show now as well. So interesting people like that who take a lot of risks and who can really motivate us, I think.
Yeah. I don't say this lightly by any means, but talking about people fleeing, there's a couple places I'd like to ask you about. One place you spent a lot of time in a couple of years back, and it was not for good reason. You were all over the TV as the go-to guy for the Malaysian crash in Ukraine. Tell us about briefly the feeling in Ukraine at the moment, and also Belarus.
Yeah, so Ukraine, I was seconded by Canada as a spokesperson for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It's basically the world's biggest regional security body. And when I arrived there shortly after Russia did their land grab, they took Crimea illegally, and then they took eastern Ukraine, the Donbass as it's known. So, and within my first 3 or 4 months, we had 2 kidnappings of our staff, and we had that tragic downing of Malaysia Airlines MH17. So me and our team, we kind of became the spokespersons of that particular tragedy. Neighboring Belarus is a disaster. Started last October when the narcissist president Lukashenko basically stole an election, and then there was massive street protests. Thousands of people imprisoned, people tortured, a lot of journalists. And then your viewers will remember during the Olympics the high-profile defection of the sprinter Christina, who went to Poland. It goes to show you how fearful people are if they have to give up their professions, give up their lives, leave their families to go flee somewhere else. But so people have gone from Belarus to Ukraine, Poland, Lithuania, but the sad thing is they're not completely safe there.
Let's talk about the new normal of travel. We had Deb Tierney on recently from Toronto, who's a cruise guru. She talked about cruising. Give us a few seconds of what people can expect going forward into 2022.
Sure. Well, I just did my first long-haul flight on Turkish Airlines from Istanbul to Vancouver. It was fantastic. Turkish Airlines is great service. I was up front. But there is a little bit of a difference in the sense that you have to wear your mask all the time. And what I like about Turkish is they really enforce that. If you're not even wearing your mask properly, they will tell you. The food is prepared a bit differently, served differently, but it's still really good service up there. But you have to get ready. You have to do your research. Where do you get tested? How many tests do you have to do? Do you have to be fully vaccinated? So there's a lot more preparation to go into travel, but I would encourage people to do it more thoughtfully and carefully.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess when you write books, you get to fly up front, unlike we poor TV hosts.
Exactly.
Okay, the new book, which has allowed him to fly up front. I kid, he travels all the time and does a lot of great work. The new book is called Digital Pandemic, COVID-19, How Tech Went from Bad to Good.
Correct.
Michael, it's been great to have you on the show. Digitalpandemicbook.com for more information. Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, earlier in the show, Lita talked to Elizabeth Barbalich. She's the CEO of Antipodes all the way down in New Zealand. Now it's the local angle, part 2 of our New Zealand spotlight. We're at Finlandia Pharmacy and Natural Healthcare Center, and I'm joined by Julie Turbo, who is the Vice President of Sales for Purity Life Health Products. Julie, welcome, first of all, to Vancouver, because you're here from Ontario.
Thank you, Jim.
You're quite welcome. We're here at Finlandia. Let's talk a bit about the relationship and the partnership between Purity and Antipodes. New Zealanders and Canadians love each other, that goes without saying, and we both have a lot of the same values in terms of environment. How did this partnership come together, and explain it a little bit more?
Well, we're looking for brands to bring to Canada that would serve well the needs of our Canadian consumers. And nothing better than the New Zealanders' product, Antipodes, because they share that love of, key natural ingredients, but also scientific research. So we get the products with those key ingredients that are directly from New Zealand, from nature. Like us here, we love that to use and support community as well. But then you also have the scientific research behind the brand. So you rest assured that you also have great results for your skin.
Yeah. Purity, of course, has been around since the mid-'80s. Antipodes has been around for a long time as well. Talk a bit about the consumer, because they're a lot more knowledgeable, they're educated and more aware, and they're also conscious of ethically and morally and environmentally what goes into their products?
Certainly. I mean, we have all the information at the tip of our fingers.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more than just looking at the ingredients that are on the box. But now consumers come in and they have requests. They, vegan, gluten-free, even for their skincare products. Sure. And they really want to make sure that it is sustainable and respect communities as well. So we have to make sure that when we bring a brand that it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. And since we talked with Elizabeth last summer, and Lita and Elizabeth talked about this, the product themselves have expanded considerably. When we spoke with her last year, it was just arriving in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. So talk a bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Yes, we're now distributed in 158 stores and also online. So I would highly suggest that in a store like here, Finlandia, or all different health food store across Canada, you can come in and you get your skin consultation and you get the best recipe for what your skin need. And if you don't shop in stores, you can also go online. We have great retailers as well, so easy to find the products.
One last question we want to go out on, and it's been a thread through our show over the last 16, 17 months, and that is COVID. We've talked to so many businesses that have evolved, had to alter, pivot, those words we've been hearing over the last year and a half. Talk a bit about how that has affected what you guys do in your partnership with Activities.
That is huge, and it's great to mention that because previously we had testers on the shelf. So when you come in, you can say, I'm going to test on my skin. I can smell and feel. But now it's different. All the testers are hidden. And that's, again, a great addition to Antipodes brand. They have sachet samples. So when you come in the store, you're not sure, am I going to invest in this product? We have sachet for you. So that's super helpful. And I mean, this is a big pivot for many brands that we need those tools to be successful and to make sure that the consumer get a chance to try the amazing product.
It's good to get the local angle, actually, on our New Zealand Spotlight, as we always like to do with no matter what we're talking about. It's Julie Drapeau, who's the Vice President of Sales, Purity Life Health Products. This wraps up our latest New Zealand Spotlight. We'll have all the details on Julie, Activities, everything in the closing credits. And thanks to the folks here at Finlandia Pharmacy and Natural Healthcare Centre.
This New Zealand Spotlight has been brought to you by our friends at New Zealand Trade and Enterprise.
Well, we're about to wrap things up here at Mahoney's Tavern.
It's been a great show. Thanks to all our viewers for watching, and thanks to all the folks that helped us out with this show. Don't forget again to follow us on all our social media, past episodes on our YouTube channel. I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapin.
We'll see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.
Outdoor wear for Jim and Lita provided by Helly Hansen, alive since 1877.
Soluzione Spa Products, a national luxury spa product distribution company located in North Vancouver, British Columbia.